All right. So it's good to have everybody here joining us tonight. It looks like we've got some more people trickling into Zoom. So we'll give them a moment here to log on. But felicidades a todos. I hope all of you are feeling excited about being here for the end of the Conchas y Café spring semester series. Like I mentioned earlier, just before we got started with the recording and all of that, we will still have another workshopping session for next Tuesday. And then on May 13th, that's 2 weeks from today, we will actually be doing kind of like a office hours / technical support session where I'll be available on Zoom to help anybody upload their work if they need help uploading it through the website. But for those of you that are ready, and even for the people on our live streams or watching after the fact on YouTube, you can upload your work now as long as it's themed around the concept of rebuild, and we'll still accept work themed around the theme of Los Caminos de la Vida, Life's Paths, which was our fall semester work theme that we were trying to put together before the fires, of course. But being that this is Conchas y Café's 10-year anniversary issue, we are going to be doing one massive issue that will also pull work from all 10 years of Conchas y Café's existence. So definitely stay tuned for that special mega issue, volume 10, Conchas y Café. And for tonight, I will be kind of hanging back, taking care of the chats. So if you have any questions throughout the session, feel free to use the chat on whatever platform you're on, whether that's on Zoom, on Instagram Live, or on YouTube Live. I will be answering questions there and also helping to share whatever comments you make. But Abraham Jaramillo, our master teaching artist extraordinaire, will be leading today's lesson. So con eso, te paso el micrófono.
Good night, everybody. This is our last class, so prepare. Esta es nuestra última clase y como todo, we do a bilingual class, so I'll be switching from English to Spanish. But don't worry, it's just sections by section, so it's easy to digest. And so let's start. Let me just do the technical part here. Let's begin. Comencemos. So the quote of the day is, we have taken the world apart, but we have no idea what to do with the pieces. En español, hemos desarmado el mundo, pero no tenemos idea de qué hacer con los pedazos. And what do you guys think about this quote? ¿Qué piensan acerca de esta cita?
And as always, there's no right or wrong answer, of course.
Repeat one last time. We have taken the world apart, but we have no idea what to do with the pieces. Hemos desarmado el mundo, pero no tenemos idea de qué hacer con los pedazos.
San Juanita?
I know I didn't give it a thought. I did not give it a thought. And hopefully what I say doesn't come up. But I completely agree with what, that has happened, that we don't know what to do. Everybody's, you thought, right, that with everybody expressing what they believed, and going all out and saying this and that, I believe that that's what taking the world apart meant. And now with it's like they say, como dicen, el mundo anda de cabeza, El mundo anda de cabeza because of what we've done with it. And it's very hard to go back. I don't know. I guess I'm thinking of it in a biblical sense. That's why I'm thinking about it in that biblical sense, And I know that not everybody sees it that way, but I believe, we have moved away from God, I think. And that's why we can't find our way back. We don't find our way back because the life that we live seems to be the right one, it seems to be comfortable. And so for a lot of us, going back to God may mean, doing things in a different way. I don't know if you ever heard this before, but a lot of people think that living life according to God's terms is a lot more difficult because they feel like it's like a prison. But honestly, it's not. I think you find more freedoms. You find more freedom, from my experience. I don't see it as a prison, but I see it more as in, thanks to that, I feel like I'm free. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you understand me. But yeah, I think, and it's hard. It's hard the way the world is, the way that our young people are. Some of them are lost, some of them are depressed, confused. I don't know. Again, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna stop there.
It's fine. It's fine. I think you're referring to like the same thing with a beautiful thing. It's like going to a time where the world was a whole thing. In this case,
Yeah.
is you're talking to the past or to the biblical past, and saying that the world has changed and the parts are different than the way they used to be. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that's part of the a way you can see this quote as well. And Eric's also say I resonate with this quote. At the moment, it seems so spot on. In the construction, everything seems to now be an experiment or sorts, especially with people and nature of all things. Economies stepping in eggshells due to the geopoliticals and the reversal of nature ecosystem prevents preservation. Yes. Yeah, it's a really complex thing, especially when we're talking about the world, right? And I think anybody wants to talk about this quote? Tori, Grisel, Luis, what do you guys think?
Well, I think that it's interesting to look at this and understand that essentially all religions in some form or another, or spiritual beliefs, tend to feel like there's something missing within the current modern day society, and will always try to harken back to something that existed in the past, sometimes in a past that we never actually lived. There's almost as if there's like a nostalgia for something we didn't actually know. And I feel like this particular quote plays into that idea of a nostalgia for something that maybe at one point had a higher meaning than what everything seems to have now. Everything seems to feel disposable right now, and everything seems to feel disjointed, even though we are more interconnected as a society than we've ever been. I mean, we have the internet, we can talk to someone across the world in an instant, and those things are like technical marvels, but it's also created a lot more complexity to the world. And I feel like that's maybe one of the things that this quote is trying to talk about is, a yearning for a simpler time.
Yeah, it's a bit of a viewing the romanticism of the past, like you said.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way of viewing it, viewing it too. And let's just actually see what who wrote this, right? So this comes from Chuck Palahniuk, born February 21st, 1962. He's an American novelist who describes his work as a transgressional fiction, a genre of literature which focuses on characters who feel confined by the norms and expectations of society and who break free of those confines in unusual or illicit ways. He has published 19 novels, 3 nonfiction books, 2 graphic novels, and 2 adult coloring books, as well as several short stories. His first published novel was Fight Club, which was adapted into the film of the same title. En español, esto fue escrito por Chuck Palahniuk. Nació el 21 de febrero de 1962. Él es un novelista estadounidense que describe sus obras como ficción transgresora, un género literario que se centra en personajes que se sienten limitados por las normas y expectativas de la sociedad y que rompen esas restricciones de formas inusuales o ilícitas. Ha publicado 19 novelas, 3 libros de non-fiction, 2 novelas gráficas y 2 libros para colorear para adultos, además de varios relatos. Su primera novela fue El Club de la Pelea, adaptada al cine con el mismo título. So that's where that quote comes from. And before we move on, somebody else wants to talk about that quote before we move on? We're all good? Okay. Move on. So let's stop sharing these, and I'm gonna show you on the screen. Hopefully it's big enough. Where is it? So, oh, now. I have been learning botany from the past years, says Tari, and from an environmental lens, it makes me think how everything we have on Earth is made from part of nature, whether it be plants, trees, the minerals we find. For consumerism, we look to Earth to extract materials to meet those demands. Even for food and the amount of food that it is demanded, we look to the Earth after times. Corporations specifically to extract and profit from the earth, and then the community and folks that suffer are the ones that can't often afford these things. The knowledge to learn how to live side by side with this reality, hold on, I lost, let's move, while simultaneously being open to or having the capacity or time to learn what to do with the pieces, learning how to grow our own food, garden, etc., is something we are trying to figure out or trying to gain that wisdom and being in community. Well, yes, I think that's a big part of science. Is how do we end up with these systems that create this global economy as well as global sustenance? Because economy, I think, is more like an ideal, and sustaining the earth as people, it's a different, more real thing. We tend to have all these systems in place, but we never stop to say, oh, hold on, are these working or are these going to be sustainable? No, we just put them on and see. We toss the dice and see if it's going to work. So it will be good to stop and really think about these parts of nature, especially, and see how they actually work and how we can actually operate without destroying it, right? So thank you, Tari. That's pretty insightful. And oh, I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. So let's start, right? I have here in front of me this book, The Irish Literature is a Treasury of Irish Literature. So I want you to tell me as we're trying to talk about parts. What are the parts that make this book? So take your time and let me know. And you can start with a hint, Luis, if you want to. You're a book constructor as well.
Yeah, as a bookmaker,
Give them
we
a couple of
can,
pieces.
yeah, we can begin maybe with the spine.
Sexy. Ooh, look at that. Thank you. And Alina, what do you see so far in this book? What do you recognize in this book?
I think I could get that at the library.
Okay, you can say that this book came from the library. And yes, actually comes from Barnes and Novels. It's a special edition. So thank you, Alina. We have one more detail inside. So, Juanita, ¿qué más ve de este libro? ¿Qué más piezas puede
Pues
ver?
veo el título, las pastas,
Las pastas, que estamos.
todo lo
vientos.
dorado está hermoso. Me encanta.
Y también podemos ver que los lados están adornados con plateado o dorado. It's gilded. And also has, what is this, guys?
It's a bookmark.
Thank you. We have bookmarks, right? We have a hardcover, right? It's a hardcover, leather bound. And here we have bands, upper and bottom bands to hold it in place, right? Here, Luis, since you know, what are these ones called? The ones that make 2 pages? What do you call that?
The leaves.
The leaves, yeah. They don't have to match side by side, but in the totality, leaves make the book. There's a whole 1 page basically that's folded, and that creates each page.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
And then we have these ones that are also.
And there's also signatures, which are the leaves that are collected and bound.
It's basically, they call this the signature thing, right? Basically the body of the book, kind of. There you go. And so you can see it's gilded on the, gilded press, all these things. And those are parts that are essential to make this specific book, right?
Is it embossed? Does it have texture?
Yeah. Yes, sexy, I'm telling you. I never knew about this book. I saw it in Barnes Novels, and I told my friend, let me borrow some money. And I bought this one and one that's the 100 Nights, the Arabian Nights. I bought that one. And they're both beautiful. And there you go. See, this is the parts that make this book, right? And you can go on and more parts, right? But for time's sake, I'm going to stop it at that, right? And let's get back to the lecture.
So Eric is asking, is there a term to call the bells and whistles of a book? It's an excellent question, Eric. I'll let Abraham answer that with his next slide.
Yeah, the bells and whistles. I mean, and the handout, actually, you're going to be able to see some of these parts that we're talking about. And you can also go to, I'm going to share this link, which is pretty neat. I found it before the class. Where's my chat? I'm trying to find here. So you guys want to check it out. Oh, hold on. This chat looks weird in my side, but hopefully it's sent it right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, that's the one.
Book diagram.
So yeah, those are pretty neat. And it kind of gives you the insight about how to make a book. So that's definitely something you want to pursue. Hey, you can probably make our books for the DSTL if you learn. Excellent. So let's continue. So let me show you some art. Déjenme mostrarles algo de arte. And let's begin. Look at this. And I'm going to scroll slowly so you guys can see, okay? Voy a hacer esto despacio para que puedan verla.
That is so cool to me.
Right?
Yeah.
I want a copy of this.
Could you imagine how much that single copy is?
Yeah, it's especially this guy's work. We'll see. I'm probably gonna Google this after this. How much is it? And just because we're talking about this piece of work, Fabian Wefner has always followed a playful, methodical approach to art. And his works that sit at the magical junction of photography, sculpture, and product design are an exploration of time, space, and reality. Fabian Wefner siempre ha seguido un enfoque lúdico y metódico hacia el arte y sus obras, que se sitúan en la unión mágica de la fotografía, la escultura y el diseño de productos. Son una exploración del tiempo, el espacio y la realidad. Yeah, that's definitely true. The Bialetti book forms part of a series called Spatial Books, which is a collection of iconic objects turned into tomes. Here, Wefner fills a Bialetti Mocha Espresso pot with actual coffee and embeds it in resin, another one of his signature materials. This becomes a solid block, which is then dissected into pages and bound on a white wooden spine and panel, resulting in a 32 by 26 by 15 centimeter 12-page coffee table book. El libro Vialetti forma parte de la serie Libros Espaciales, una colección de objetos icónicos convertidos en tomos. En el libro, Wefner lleva una cafetera Vialetti moca con café de verdad y la incrusta en resina, otro de sus materiales característicos. Esto se convierte en un bloque sólido que luego se divide en páginas y se cuaderna sobre un lomo y un panel de madera blanca, dando como resultado un libro de mesa de 32 por 26 por 15 centímetros y 12 páginas. So esas 12 páginas van a ser caras, ¿verdad, Luis? So what do you guys think about this piece so far? ¿Qué piensan acerca de esta pieza? You can speak if it's easier for you as well.
A ver, para en este.
¿Cuál? ¿Este?
En este, yeah.
Okay.
It's amazing to see exactly the like the individual parts of the mocha, the mocha pot, and it just looks so precise. It looks almost unreal, you know?
Yes. I mean, that's the thing they call about him, like being a product designer. You have to be really clean, and you can see he works hard into creating something that's really presentable as well as communicates the idea really well.
Yeah.
Eric says it's really cool. A lot of thought went into 12 pages, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you can see, it's every page is going to be different because it's like the scans that you do at the doctor, right? It's just divided by section, so each section has a different detail of the coffee pot in this case, right? Which I always found this one's fascinating because I have one of those, and the system how this operates is really interesting. So it becomes a way of showing you how it works as well as how it's made. So it's interesting. Okay. Any more thoughts on this one? ¿Alguien más que quiera hablar sobre esta pieza antes de seguir? ¿Qué hice ahí? Hice otra página. Bueno. Okay. Oh, what happened? Sigamos. Here is another piece from Fabian Wefner. Aquí hay otra pieza de Fabian Wefner, porque seguimos con él. Okay. So here it is. And for this one, I'm going to zoom just a little bit, even though, sorry, I couldn't get a good image. It has not super high quality, but I think it's it's good to see all these.
It still looks pretty good.
Right? Yeah, it just couldn't get a good one. Because in reality, this one has more detail on it. So there you go. Let me go back here.
Do you know if this image was ever like printed?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. So
Or
you want to buy it, Luis? Go for it. Yes. So Disintegrating Mura by Fabian Wefner. It was created by taking photos of each of the car's pieces, which were then placed into a fashion that makes it look as if the car was exploding or disintegrating. Webner was able to make this project possible thanks to a friend who was having a Mura restored. A Mura, it's the car, just by those who don't know. Restored and suggested that he use this opportunity for a new piece in his disintegrating series, which is basically making two pieces, ¿verdad? En español, Desintegrando Miura de Fabian Wefner. Se creó tomando fotos de cada pieza del coche, que luego se colocaron de forma que pareciera que el coche estaba explotando o desintegrándose. Wefner pudo hacer realidad este proyecto gracias a un amigo que estaba restaurando su Miura y les sugirió aprovechar la oportunidad para una nueva pieza de su serie Desintegración, which it's good to have those kind of friends, right? So again, this is, and the thing he started with different, I think, car toys or small cars that are made to create these kind of things until his friend offered the opportunity to create these with a real car, right? And here is a couple more that he did. I think these ones are the small model versions that he worked with for, unless he got other friends who had these fancy cars. Maybe he knows Joe Leno. Look at that. Oof. And that's these cars. What do you guys think about this project so far? ¿Qué piensan acerca de este proyecto?
Is there anything that strikes you? Algo que los ha impactado sobre estos proyectos? What I find interesting is that, this one, the actual real car, you can tell that it's a real car because of the smallness of some of the like nuts and bolts. Y a cambio los otros se ven como modelos, partly because there's like the rivets in that one. You can tell that they're not real rivets, painted over whatever plastic that might be.
Yes.
Pero sí se ve bonito. I mean, it's not like at first glance you might not be able to tell that
Yeah,
it's
like
a
this
model.
part here, right?
Yeah.
Looks a little plasticky.
It does, yeah.
Same thing as this,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think it's easier to handle this way of photographing, even though you might need a lens that's able to capture this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that it's definitely a bigger project once you have an actual car and all these pieces to work with. But especially you have to also think about the light that you're gonna put on each piece, so all looks cohesive once you put it together.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a lot of pieces that had to, like, I don't know, he Photoshop all these in to get it. It's just too much work. It's a lot, right? But again, I like to see all these, what makes these cars, right? That's interesting to think of all these pieces, right? It's like the quote at the beginning, right? That we're talking about. We have all these parts, like when you have your car fixing your car, you're like, but how to put them together? It's tricky, right?
Yeah.
And then we have Eric. Thought this is a deconstruction. If I remember correctly, it kind of feels like a scene from Tron, where they reconstruct the light cycle. which is the like motorcycle thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't finish that movie, but I know kind of what you're talking about. Yeah. And I think I don't know, like if he has, because I think I have seen things like Transformers does this really well with the movement of little parts and making them move. So that's interesting. And let's actually continue. Let's start with this piece. It was on a very night on November that I beheld the accomplishment of my toils with an anxiety that almost amounted to agony. I collected the instrument of life around me, that I might infuse a spark of being into the lifeless thing that lay at my feet. It was already 1 in the morning. The rain pattered dismally against the panes, and my candle was nearly burnt out, when, by the glimmer of the half-extinguished light, I saw the dull, yellow eye of the creature open. It breathed hard, and convulsive motion agitated its limbs. How can I describe my emotions at this catastrophe, or how delineated the wreck which, with such infinite pains and care, I had endeavored to form? His limbs were in proportion, and I had selected his features as beautiful. Beautiful, great God! His yellow skin scarcely covered the work of muscles and arteries beneath. His hair was of a lustrous black and flowing, his teeth of a pearly whiteness, but the luxuries only formed a more horrid contrast with his watery eyes that seemed almost of the same color as the dun white sockets in which they were set, a shriveled complexion, and straight black lips. This comes from Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, chapter 5, page 58. En español, fue una lúgubre noche de noviembre cuando presencié el cumplimiento de mis labores con una ansiedad casi agónica. Reuní los instrumentos de la vida a mi alrededor para infundir una chispa de vida en la criatura inerte que hacía a mis pies. Ya era la 1 de la madrugada o de mañana. La lluvia repiqueteaba lúgubremente contra los cristales y mi vela estaba casi consumida cuando, a la luz tenue, medio apagada, vi abrirse el ojo amarillo apagado de la criatura. Respiraba con dificultad y un movimiento convulsivo agitaba sus extremidades. ¿Cómo puedo describir mis emociones ante esta catástrofe? ¿O cómo describir al desgraciado que con tanto esfuerzo y cuidado me había esforzado por formar? Sus miembros eran proporcionados y había elegido sus rasgos como hermosos, hermosos. Dios mío, su piel amarillenta apenas cubría el tejido muscular y arterias que había dejado debajo. Sorry. Su cabello era de un negro brillante y abundante. Sus dientes de una blanca perlada. Pero estas exuberancias solo creaban un contraste aún más horrible con sus ojos llorosos, que parecían casi del mismo color que las cuencas blancas pardas donde estaban incrustados, su tez arrugada y sus labios rectos y negros. Esta pieza viene de Frankenstein, de Mary Shelley, capítulo 5, página 58. So, what do you guys think makes this monster so far? What do you think's making the monster of Frankenstein? What are the parts that Mary Shelley is talking about? ¿Qué son las piezas que Mary Shelley habla de que conforman este monstruo hasta ahora? Porque en el libro hay más detalles, pero son diferentes partes. Pero por eso, en este capítulo, esta parte, dígame qué es lo que conforma al monstruo de Frankenstein. So what are the parts that make these monsters so far? And Eric says, "Thought this is a..." Oh, no, hold on. It's from the...
Yeah, that's from before.
Oh, okay, from before. Thanks. So bring it on. We're going to start Okay, let's start with Tori. What are you seeing? What are the parts that make this monster? Okay. Okay, still thinking.
Still
Okay,
thinking.
take your time. These are the two parts that we can... Okay, but again, can you give us a hint, Luis, of one that you remember? Just one part, so you don't take all of them.
Well, we begin with a dull yellow eye.
There you go.
Dull yellow eye.
Mm-hmm. Grisel, what do you see? What parts do you see?
Maybe scroll down a little bit too, so
Yeah.
everyone can see the second paragraph.
Will you pass the yellow eye so we don't repeat that one?
I see.
The limbs, emotion.
The limbs are moving, at least. That's kind of an adjective.
Well, kind of, but no. The muscles, the arteries, or what else? The hair. That's what she said. The teeth.
Yeah, the teeth. What are the teeth?
Pearly whiteness. So
there you go.
Yeah.
The same thing with the muscles are telling us that the skin, it's not enough for the muscles and the veins not to be see-through. So that means the guy or the monster, because so far it doesn't look too much of a monster, right? It's skinny or it's muscular, right? It doesn't have too much fat. That's basically what she's telling us, right?
Yeah, Tauri in the chat also called out the yellow color of the skin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing that's also weird, right? Maybe she has like a what's called the disease that your liver is not working.
Yeah, jaundice.
Yeah.
And then also Tauri called out the straight black lips.
Yes, there you go. Good. Yeah, so all these things are making this creature, yeah? The chupacabras for a split second.
The chupacabra's straight black lips.
And yeah, I was talking to Luis before, like when we're discussing about this worship, and like this kind of monster, so far it's not as horrid as in the movies. It has all these crews and all these weird things. This is more of a uncanny valley, meaning it kind of still looks human, but there's something like the yellow skin and the eyes and the black lips that makes it not really human. That kind of makes you, like shiver and saying like, oh, something's wrong with this, right? But again, these are all the parts that are making the monster, right? So it's good to be able to describe what's making something, right? Like the books that we saw of the coffee pot, right? Like you can see all the parts, or the car that are deconstructed, right? So I think in order to build something, you have to deconstruct it and to see the pieces that make it, right? In this case, Mary Shelley is telling us some of these parts, right? And the book again has more of that, but this is kind of something I wanted to focus. And again, because also
I also think that it's really, really important. Yeah, there's the book right there. But I also think it's really, really important for us to call out the fact that Dr. Frankenstein selects specifically his features as beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, right? So there was an intention behind the specific features of the creature, right? So it wasn't just about any old, arm, any old cabellera. It's all with the purpose of creating a beautiful being, a beautiful creature.
Yes, I think you're hitting the nail, Luis, because I think we are just so far discussing the visual parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what makes the monster is this need to create life, which is in conflict in the story with God, That's why he even mentions a little bit of God here, right? Which is the thesis of this story, is basically telling us that we as a science, like we were talking with Tara at the beginning, we are trying to become God, trying to overachieve without the knowledge of what are the consequences. In this case, that's what he's calling it horrid, right? He's not calling him his baby or his son, which in reality he should, because he's creating life, right? But no, he's telling us that what makes this monster is actually him. He's feeling all these things. So part that makes this monster is not just these parts, it's the doctor or the Frankenstein who is making this monster, right? So it's appropriate they call it the Frankenstein monster, because without Frankenstein, there's no monster in reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Juanita, you have your hand raised.
Can you move just a little bit para arriba? And so
Okay.
no, like this second paragraph. Okay. So what I see is that, where is it? Okay, so Mary Shelley says all these beautiful features, right? You know, the lustrous black and flowing hair and the pearly whiteness of the teeth and the work of muscles and arteries. But she says the contrast, to contrast all this beauty with the watery eyes, right? She talks about, it says horrid contrast with his watery eyes. So she's not saying anything good about the eyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
She just says his watery eyes. So I see how, the description, right? All this beautiful creature, but it's in contrast. It's only form a more horrid contrast with his watery eyes. So I saw that and I found that interesting.
Yeah, and I think it goes with the expectations, right? He's saying that he lovingly made this thing, but at the end he hates it, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's like going to the doctor and going to labor, and after that you hate your baby, right? That's kind of the actual heat of this story. Like, this is why I hate all these movies of Frankenstein, because the story behind the actual book, it's really deep, right? And it goes also with the time when Mary Shelley was living. She was living at a time when science was making big strides, right? And body snatching was a thing as well. So all these parts were coming together, but she wanted to talk about the absence of parenthood, because she also lost her mother. So it's this absence of the person who's creating you, who's taking the role of a god, but not taking the actual responsibility of a god, which should be taking care of such and such, right? But okay, let's continue before or anybody has something more to say about this little piece of Frankenstein, which I should say go read. It's a book that I recommend highly. It starts slow, but it definitely once it hits it, you're like, oh, I need to sleep, or should I continue reading? Eric knows these feelings, right? So let's continue. For this, let's go into the exercise. So, ejercicio. Tell me all the pieces that you see that make this furniture item. Dime todas las piezas que ves que componen este mueble. And here is the furniture piece that I'm talking about. So díganme qué conforma a esta pieza de silla que ven aquí, o mecedora. Okay? Take your time. You can put it in the chat or you can speak it. Go for it. ¿Qué piezas ven? Yeah, it's covered skies, shoes.
Yeah. It's curved skis.
They look like skis. It's definitely, yeah.
I like that.
You went straight ahead for the piece, for the rocking, right? Excellent. What else do you guys see?
A seat.
Seat, yes. Have the seat here. We have the rocker. What are these?
Wood material.
Wood. It's good. You have the material down.
The seat back. Yeah.
All right. We have the back. It has a lot of these rails. What is this? Redwood. Okay. Getting more into the detail of the materials. Handrest. There you go. And what are these ones called? You have them too. There you go, Eric. Legs. Look at that. Legs for days. Woo. And Luis, you know this one?
Oh yeah, the joists.
There you go. Let's go for that. Excellent, guys. Excellent. Good job. You guys did an excellent that. And for this next piece, I'm gonna need 2 readers. So I'll start with the English version. Who wants to start with the English version?
If I only had the handiness of God, I could rebuild that old relic of the past. I would start with real wood, unlike the IKEA kind, 2 front and 2 side rails would box a seat covered by a small white sheep hide. Otherwise, the solid wood would be too hard to sit on for too long, and long. Ours my grandpa would sit on, 2 short front legs and 2 long and double curved back legs, which connect to an upper and lower horizontal rail. From those rails, 5 slats would run vertically to create a back which contour would give relief to my grandpa's aged back, who would still play catch up at the park with us. 2 flat paddle-shaped pieces would connect to the back and the front legs to create rest. Rest for those tired arms from decades of working to feed 10 kids and a wife. I would be a fool to think a couple of stretchers on the bottom of the legs would finish the job, for they would help to hold everything in place, but the true soul of this relic lays on the 2 large and bow-shaped pieces at the bottom of the legs. I still remember my grandpa rocking back and forth in a rocking chair I can no longer make.
Thank you very much. Title for this is The Chair by yours truly. And we'll have one last part in Spanish. So for this one, I guess I will leave it up to San Juanita or Brisel. Those are the ones that I know how to read. So, si pueden, por favor, échenme.
I'll read it con mucho gusto.
Eso, San Juanita, échale.
Porque me encantó.
Muchas gracias.
Bueno, me encantó en inglés. A ver cómo va en español.
Ahorita vemos cómo está la traducción, ¿verdad?
Okay. Si tan solo tuviera las habilidades manuales de Dios, podría reconstruir esa vieja reliquia del pasado. Yo empezaría con madera auténtica, a diferencia de IKEA. 2 rieles frontales y 2 laterales enmarcarían un asiento cubierto con una pequeña piel de oveja blanca. De lo contrario, la madera maciza sería demasiado dura para sentarse durante mucho tiempo. Y por muchas horas, mi abuelo se pasaba sentado. 2 patas delanteras cortas y 2 traseras largas con doble curvatura que se conectan a un riel horizontal superior e inferior. Desde esos rieles, 5 listones se extendían verticalmente para crear un respaldo cuyo contorno aliviaría la espalda envejecida de mi abuelo, quien aún jugaba con nosotros en el parque a atraparnos. 2 piezas planas con forma de paleta se conectarían a las patas traseras y delanteras para crear descanso. Descanso para esos brazos cansados por décadas de trabajar para alimentar a 10 hijos y a una esposa. Sería un tonto si pensara que un par de soportes en la parte inferior de las patas completarían el trabajo, ya que ayudarían a mantener todo en su lugar. Pero la verdadera esencia de esta reliquia Reside en las dos piezas grandes y con forma de arco en la parte inferior de las patas. Todavía recuerdo a mi abuelo, meciéndose hacia adelante y hacia atrás, en una mecedora que ya no puedo construir. Título: La silla, por Abraham Jaramillo.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias.
Hermoso.
So, ¿qué
I love
piensan de esta pieza? What do you guys think about this piece?
Yo pienso, perdón.
Sí, you go for it. I mean,
No levanté la mano.
it's all right.
I'm like my students already, my goodness.
That's okay. It's
Sorry about
okay.
Now I understand them. So, yo pienso que reconstruiste algo mucho más bello, que es el recuerdo.
There
know?
you go.
Pienso yo que ponle que no podrás hacer esa silla, pero tienes este recuerdo de, y nos hablaste mucho de tu abuelo, porque, bueno, digo de tú porque sé que es tuya. Nos hablaste de su familia, de lo que hacía, y no nada más eso, Abraham. Creo que provocaste que uno también se acuerde del abuelo, ¿me entiendes?
Sí.
Es lo más bonito, ¿verdad? Cuando uno puede escribir de ellos. You know how I am, you know what kind of writing I do, pero me parece muy, muy interesante cómo recreaste el recuerdo de tu abuelo, ¿me entiendes? A través pues, de una silla,
There you go.
know?
Muy
Bien
bien.
bonito.
Muchas gracias, San Juanita.
Claro que sí.
Who else has something to say about this piece? What do you guys think? What do you guys see?
Grisel wrote in the chat, great details. The components of how to keep one piece together using other pieces to complement each other.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I kind of like, that we had these at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the little details are what's important too. It's real wood, not the IKEA kind, not particle board. It's has a white sheep hide, to make it a little bit softer, or else it'd be too hard to sit on. So yeah, it's all about the little details. It's not just the big, what's it called? The larger things that we can see. It's the little things that we see.
Yes. And Tori, since you read it, what do you think? I like the details because it provided images that I could imagine, that I would imagine and see. Okay. Then we have Eric. I like details and vivid descriptions, large and bow-shaped pieces at the bottom of the legs. How you tie the pieces to a specific person to add additional depth to purpose of the script, driving the chair. Yes, thank you. You hit it on the nail, Eric, because as we're talking about Frankenstein as well, he's not just talking about the things of that make Frankenstein as the monster. He's also talking about the creator, right? Who's making it. So it's making these many connections just by telling us little by little, right? For here, I just wanted to create a project that's impossible to make. That's why I say like the handiness of God, just to give you like a clue, also by misguiding you, saying, making you think that I'm talking about handiness of how to put something with glue and hammers. But in reality, I'm talking about life, right? Something that this chair I can make if I put myself to a lot of YouTube videos. I can make a chair that I'm describing in a way, right? The only thing is that this chair is impossible because the thing that makes this chair in reality is my grandpa. So it's a chair that's impossible for me to make, right? So that's what I wanted to do, right? Like we're talking about deconstructing something to make something, right? In this case, I use all these parts to make you see this chair and to understand what really makes it. It's my grandpa, right? So let's talk about the pieces that make something, right? That's what we're going at, right? Rebuilding. How do you rebuild something? What are the things that make it? And also, Why do you want to make it, right? That's an important thing. And let's continue. Let's do one more exercise for you guys. I know you guys like to keep in shape, right? So, exercise. Find an object, then make a list of all the pieces that make that object. Put the list in the chat once you are done. So let's start with the pieces, and at the end, put the name of the object. I think that'll be fun for us to read, right? To see, okay, well, the pieces, and then at the end, put the name of the object, okay? So, ejercicio. Encuentra un objeto y haz una lista de todas las piezas que lo componen. Comparte la lista en el chat cuando termines. Por ejemplo, pon las partes y después ponen abajo el nombre del objeto, ¿ok? So, en el chat pon una lista, bla, 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 todas las partes. Le puedes poner coma si quieres, porque I know sometimes you click enter and it just goes, sends the message. So just put that. So, Luis, do you want to talk about your, I don't know, something so they can see an example on the chat, like just a couple of pieces that make something?
I just added an ejemplo in the chat there for you.
Hilo rojo, hilos de ADN y una perita roja. Oh. ¿Qué es, Luis? Oh, there you go. I like it.
So, tela verde, hilo rojo, hilos de ADN.
Buena, buena. I like it. So take time. We give you what, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, Luis? Up to you.
Let's see what people can come up with in 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
They have to be super detailed.
Yeah.
You can
just
go,
look at something that's on your room.
Yeah, you can go as simple as 5 or 6 little details, right?
Yeah. And definitely you can use YouTube or Google or whatever you guys like to if you don't know the name of those parts. Because definitely I wasn't like 100% sure of all the parts until I researched for the for the rocking chair. Right now we are all experts. So just repeating, just for the sake of repeating. Exercise. Find an object, then make a list of all the pieces that make that object. Put the list in the chat once you are done. Ejercicio, tío. Encuentra, se van a enojar los españoles que nos están escuchando. Ahora vi uno de Pokémon que estaba Mexican Pokémon Translation and Spanish Pokémon Translation, but in both the other person was making the translation, so it was like a fun experiment. It was super fun. Encuentra un objeto y haz una lista de todas las piezas que lo componen. Comparte la lista en el chat cuando termines. Puede ser tan fácil como que hace una taza de café, que hace una silla, un televisor. Aquí tenemos a San Juanita. Plastic, hollow, metal, stick, bent, waiting to be used. LOL. What is it, San Juanita?
The broom.
Nice. You got me there. Wow.
Waiting to be used because nobody wants it. So it's just waiting. You would wonder, like why is it waiting there? It should be.
You guys already adding the attributes to an object, right?
Maybe my daughter's like, say that all the bristles are dirty. I'm like, I'm not.
There you have that. You have another element, the bristles, right? The hairs. What color are they? The plastic, right? So all these things have them at your disposal, right?
Bueno, let me put
the more you make the list, the better.
Brittles.
Yeah, hairs, bristles, or sometimes depends if it's plastic or the ones that are like with palitos,
the straw.
Okay, there we go.
Like with a straw one. Yeah. Does it have a handle? What color is it? Right? Is it heavy? Is it not? Is it short? Is it long? Does it have a companion? Meaning the what you call the dust collector thingy? This is how much I use it, right? So I don't know the name.
That's good. That's good. That tells you how I don't use it often.
That's why I like when you put like that. It's waiting to be used. It's perfect, right? Then we have Grisel, neck, body, bridge, waist, strings, guitar. Yes, right? Grisel, we had it. Oh, violin. Oh, almost. Nice. Okay, then you can add out the size. You can add the neck, the thing that you put the neck on. You can put the chin. Sorry, a chin guard. Like this called.
Chin rest.
There you go. And all these details. So go for it. The
My
color,
son.
and it has also. I love that. You know, the violins have something that the guitars usually don't. It's this end of the neck that has like this little twirl
The
on the
scroll.
back. Yes,
Scroll.
those are
Mhm.
pretty interesting too.
Yeah, I was gonna put pegs, but I was like,
Oh, there you
nah, you're gonna know what it is.
go.
Rather not.
Again, the bigger the list, the better, right?
Mhm.
And at the end, you feel like you don't want to use all them. You can toss some of them out, but I guess start with as many of the list as you can. I think that's really interesting. The same thing with the car parts, right? It was good to see all these parts, right? So throw us all the parts, dissect this thing that you see, and have fun at it. It's just interesting. And then we have Eric, 2 pieces pine wood each of varied length fastened together to form a rectangle, overlaying on a top another the large pieces, decorating like Rodini filled the body in cotton canvas with an empty stomach protected by polished sand. Picture frame. Ooh, well,
I like that.
excellent. Good stuff. Good stuff.
It's a really
Uh,
poetic description of glass, polished
mhm.
sand.
So hey, it's already thinking ahead.
Yeah.
You guys are thinking ahead. And then we're waiting for Tauri. Or did she? Hold on, did I went to Tauri first? No, okay. We're waiting on you, Tauri. No pressure. There you go. Tauri, heavy, made of iron, has handle, black, hot. It, I was raised to use my bare hands to turn over the tortillas. Hold on. I lost. When making quesadillas or tacos. This is the most delicious description. I am hungry now. Thank you, Tari. Yes, excellent.
Comal.
There you go. And now that you guys have your exercises, we're going to do the favorite part that you guys adore, homework, tarea. So, says I could use the spatula, como las manos. There you go. No, the masterful thing is with the hands. That's how you know. There you go. So homework, using the object of your choosing, or you can change it, but I guess if you guys have already a list, I'm making it easier because you already have the list. And the list of its components. Make a poem about rebuilding that object. Remember to use those parts with adjectives like you guys are already doing. And lastly, think, why are you rebuilding it? I think that's something really important, right? It's some of the thing that Latari was saying. Now that I'm thinking, like, what do we do these signs? What do create these economies, right? And it's a good thing to think, why are we making these things, right? Tarea, usando el objeto que eligiste, y también como les decía, lo pueden cambiar, pero como ya tienen las partes, pues usen esas partes si quieren. Después recuerda usar esas partes como adjetivos y, o por última, piensa que, ¿por qué lo estás reconstruyendo? So, piensa en todas las partes, en sus como adjetivos, cómo vas a reconstruir algo, ¿verdad? Es lo que queremos llegar. Usa eso para describir cómo estás reconstruyendo esta pieza y por qué. Piensa por qué lo estás haciendo. Es una cosa que les quiero aventar por ahí, ¿verdad? So, everybody got the homework? No questions on the homework before I move on? I have one more thing. Okay, everybody's good? Okay.
Seems like
Okay, if you know, you have the flyer. And because I don't know, I got used to this now. I like to put a little extra, un poquito de pilón, ¿verdad? Un poquito más. So here we have a story, but before we go into the story, I want to give you the background. This is a story about a guy whose name is Inman, and he's fighting on the Civil War of the United States. He was injured in the neck by a bullet, so he's in a hospital, right? So far, he's on a mindset of trying to stay in and fight or go home because war sucks, right? So, un poquito de contexto antes de que comience con la historia. Esta historia trata de Inman, una persona que está peleando en la guerra civil de los Estados Unidos. Está peleando por el sur, o sea, que no se espanten, pero está peleando por el sur y fue herido con una bala en el cuello, está en un hospital y está en una parte mental o pensando si regresar a pelear o regresar a su casa, porque ahí está su amor de su vida o como quiere llamar. Y aparte, pues la guerra es horrible, ¿verdad? So, here we go. That's the intro of it. So, Inman returned to the ward, tired from his walk. Alice sat cool in the dim room and scratched with his quill at the papers. Inman got in the bed, thinking to nap away the rest of the morning. But he could not make his mind rest, so he took up his book to read. What he had was just third part of Bartram's travels. He had pulled it from a box of books donated by ladies of the capital, eager for the intellectual as well as physical improvement of the patients. Apparently, the book had been given away because it had lost its front cover. So Inman, in an effort toward symmetry, had turned the back cover off as well. Leaving only the leather spine, he kept the book tied into a scroll with a piece of twine. It was not a book that required following from front to back, and Inman simply opened it at random, as he had done night after night in the hospital to read until he was calm enough for sleep. The doings of that kind of lone wanderer, called flower gatherer by the Cherokee in honor of his satchels full with plants and his attention all given to the growth of wild living things, never failed to ease his thoughts. The passage he turned to that morning became a favorite, and the first sentence that fell under his eye was this: continue yet ascending until I gained the top of an elevated rocky ridge, when appeared before me a gap or opening between other yet more lofty ascents, through which continued as the rough rocky road led me close by the winding banks of a large rapid brook, which at length turned into the left, pouring down rocky precipices, glide off through dark groves and high forests, conveying streams, fertility, and pleasure to the fields below. Such images made Idman happy, as did the following pages where Bartram ecstatic journeyed on the valley of Cowie Deep in the mountains, breathlessly describing a world of scarp and scrag, ridge after ridge fading of blue into the distance, chanting at length as he went the names of all plants that came under his gaze, as if reciting the ingredients of a powerful potion. After a time, though, Inman found that he had left the book and was simply forming the topography of home in his head, called mountain, all its ridges and coves and water courses, Pigeon River, Little East Fork, Surreal Cove, Deep Gap, Fire Scald Ridge. He knew their names and said them to himself like the words of spells and incantations to ward off the things one fears most. So there you go, guys. And Spanish versions, do you want to help me with that one, Luis?
A ver.
Just I want to see you try this one because I think it's very interesting. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Inman regresó a la sala, cansado de la caminata. Baliz, sentado con los ojos desorbitados en la habitación en penumbra, escribía con la pluma sobre los papeles. Inman se metió en la cama pensando en echarse una siesta el resto de la mañana, pero no conseguía descansar la mente. Así que cogió su libro para leer. Lo que tenía era la tercera parte de de los viajes de Bartram. Lo había sacado de una caja de libros donados por damas de la capital, deseo- deseosas de mejorar tanto intelectual como físicamente a los pacientes. Al parecer, el libro había sido regalado porque había perdido la portada, así que Inman, en un esfuerzo para mantener la simetría, también había arrancado la contraportada, dejando solo el lomo de cuero. Mantenía el libro atado como pergamino con un cordel. No era un libro que requiriera leer de principio a fin, e Inman simplemente lo abrió al azar, como lo hacía noche tras noche en el hospital para leer hasta que se tranquilizaba lo suficiente como para dormir. Las actividades de ese amable vagabundo solitario llamado el recolector de flores por los Cherokee, en honor a sus bolsas llenas de plantas y su atención dedicada al crecimiento de los seres vivos silvestres, nunca dejaban de tranquilizarlo. El pasaje que leyó esa mañana se convirtió en uno de sus favoritos, y la primera frase que le vino a la mente fue esta: Continué ascendiendo hasta que llegué Continué ascendiendo hasta que llegué a la cima de una elevada cresta rocosa, cuando apareció ante mí un espacio o abertura entre otros ascensos aún más elevados, a través del cual continué como me llevó el áspero camino rocoso, cerca de las sinuosas orillas de un gran arroyo rápido, que finalmente giró a la izquierda vertiéndose por precipicios rocosos y se deslizó a través de oscuras arboledas y bosques altos, transportando fertilidad y placer a los campos de abajo. Tales imágenes alegraron a Inman, al igual que las páginas siguientes, en las que Bartram, extasiado, continuó su viaje hacia el valle de Covey, en lo profundo de las montañas, describiendo con entusiasmo un mundo de escarpes y riscos, cresta tras cresta que se desvanecían en la distancia, cantando largamente a medida que avanzaba los nombres de todas las plantas que se le cruzaban en la mirada, como si recitara los ingredientes de una poderosa poción. Después de un tiempo, sin embargo, Inman descubrió que había dejado el libro y simplemente estaba formando la topografía de su hogar en su cabeza. Cold Mountain, todas sus crestas, calas y cursos de agua, Pigeon River, Little East Fork, Sorrel Cove, Deep Gap, Fire Scald Ridge. Conocía sus nombres y los repetía para sí mismo como palabras de hechizos y conjuros para alejar lo que uno más teme.
Thank you, Luis. Very awesome. So that's from this book called Mountain, a novel by Charles Francier. And the pages from this are from 10 to 11.
Hmm.
And wanted to share these just for last thoughts of basically describing a place by all these parts, right? And all these parts are important, not physically, but mentally, right? So in this case, we have the little book. It's been described nicely as well, right? That he carries, right? That's missing the front part of it and why he turned the other part too, right? And then he is using the book to also arrive to the story of his place that he wants to describe, right? So again, use this just to have a little extra thing to have in mind that you can describe places as well, and use these parts, disintegrate or deconstruct the place in order to build it, right? So once you have all the parts that make the thing that you want to describe, place, person, and object, you can do it, right? And here's the works cited. You guys also gonna have it on the um, page that Luis is gonna give you, or it's on the chat, the handout. Thank you. And here you go, just in case I have a bunch of info. So thank you very much. I'm gonna stop sharing, and we have made it to the end of this lecture and 10 years of Conchas. This is our last class for now, and I guess I'll leave it to Luis. What's cooking?
So yeah, thank you, Abraham. And like he said, this is the last of the lectures. That's part of the spring semester. This is almost the end. Next week, again, just as a reminder, we will have a workshopping session, so you can bring whatever you write that was inspired by today's session. You can bring it, we'll workshop it. Hopefully, we'll be able to get through everyone's work. If you don't finish whatever you wrote for this week, you're welcome to obviously continue working on it up until May 13th. May 13th is the last day to submit any kind of artwork, poetry, short stories, even photography and comics. So we are accepting, a variety of things. And this will all be published in our mega issue for volume 10. That's 10 years of Conchas y Café zine. And that should more or less cover all of the major announcements. So we'll see you all hopefully next week. We'll spend time workshopping. And then the following week, May 13th, that's your deadline to submit work. I'll be available to help with any kind of troubleshooting if you're having difficulty uploading work on Submittable. But yeah, thank you, Abraham, for another fantastic lesson and 10 years of being my partner in crime and teaching Conchas y Café.
We haven't gotten fired yet. That means we're doing something good.
I guess so.
Well, that guy is a little older than us, but and yeah, guys, definitely do your pieces. I'll be really excited to see what you guys come up with. This is an interesting topic, and go for it. You're already halfway. Tari, thank you, Luis and Abraham, for teaching Conchas in both the fall and spring. It was my highlight of every Tuesday. See you next week. Thank you both. You're welcome, Tari. And yes, we cannot wait to see what you guys come with.
Yeah.
Awesome work.
Thank you for joining us, of course. It wouldn't be Conchas y Café without you. So thank you, everyone. We're really
one of the parts of Conchas.
Yeah. We all comprise a whole.
Yeah.
Which is
whole Concha.
Exactly. All right, everyone. Have a great night. We'll see you all soon. Take care.
See you guys. Good night.